But yeah, that is the last talk of the week. So I've planned nothing for tomorrow from my end. However, your tutors and course leaders and lecturers, they might have something for on tomorrow. But it'd be really good to kind of get a bit of feedback from yourselves as students as to kind of if you thought this was a really kind of, if it was worthwhile, if in future you think, actually, no, do you know what, I'd rather be doing timetable kind of lessons. I can do this in my own time. It'd be good to kind of get a feel if there was some things that you plucked out of this week in the different talks. Yeah, it'd be really good to kind of get some feedback. And obviously next time we go to do this, we can take that feedback and kind of mold it to shape this week into be a little bit more user friendly or whatever it might be. I know we had some issues the first session with Camille, who had some technical issues. You couldn't speak down the line, but anyway, you know, these things happen, and it's what we live in the world of technology these days. So anyway, I'd like to welcome Darren. Some of you in this group will see Darren quite a lot now. So Darren has taken or successfully gained, I should say, not taken, successfully gained the course leader role in level 2, level 3 light vehicle in Bridgewater. So if you're a student on level 2 or maybe level 3 next year, you'll be kind of coming across Darren as the course leader, along with Ryan still as the lecturer / tutor on that course as well. So yeah, Darren, really, yeah, over to you to kind of bit of introduction, kind of a bit of where you've come from, what you've done, your previous history, maybe kind of going from student all the way up to now. I say all the way as if it's been kind of 50 years. I won't be so harsh to you for that.
It's only been 20 years, all right?
Yeah, all right. You tell everyone that. But yeah, carry on. Over to you, really.
Cool, no problem. Right, hi everyone. Starting my career, I started as an apprentice, so I didn't take the full-time route. I decided to take the apprenticeship route. So how I gained that was at school. I had a week work experience like most of you probably did. I secured that at a workplace in Bridgewater. So after that week, I realized that this was the career for me. I kind of wanted to do mechanics and work with cars. So I asked them for a weekend job. So thankfully they gave me a Saturday job, which was just cleaning their cars, but it was a way in for me, and also to show how dedicated I was to commit to their garage. So along the way, cleaning cars, I kind of then, once, you know, I'd work a Saturday morning. Once I got the cars cleaned, they would allow me to go into the workshops and help the mechanics. So that's where I started learning. So, you know, I was just passing them tools, but I was gaining experience by watching them repair cars, and, you know, now and again they would let me get involved and have a go. So by doing that, I was kind of showing them my dedication, showing I can turn up on time, I had good attendance, all in the aim to secure an apprenticeship there, which I did successfully, thankfully. So towards the end of school, I asked them if they take me on, which they agreed. So I started my apprenticeship with Bridgewater College at the time, so it's before they merged with Taunton. And I did a 3-year apprenticeship. I didn't stay at that garage the whole time. I did leave after about the first year and went to work for Peugeot. And then I finished my last 2 years apprenticeship. And then after I finished that, I started doing some Peugeot training with electrics and things, and kind of progressed on from there. I worked for various different independent garages. And then I kind of wanted to aim my sights a bit higher. And I kind of, you know, heard of technicians becoming master technicians, which is, you know, basically the highest technician status you can get to. So being that I was really hungry and motivated, I figured, you know, that's where I wanted to be. So I applied for round main dealers and luckily got a placement with Toyota. So then I started my training, jumped in. First of all, I had to become a Toyota licensed technician, which is, you know, pretty much just doing what you did at college, but it was just done in a short period of time. Kind of, you go away, you do weeks of assessments, so it's a bit like what some of you guys do towards the end, and kind of prove that you can do what your CV says. Gained that, and from there on, I just pestered my boss. I want more, I want more. So I then became a senior technician. From there, kept on, just keeping on. I then got to diagnostic technician, and then the next step was then to become a specialist technician. So you had to pick an area that you specialised in. So for me, I looked at the future and figured, well, hybrids are the way to go. So I chose hybrid, and I became a hybrid specialist. So it was good because you kind of got a great responsibility in the workshop. So I was the only one that could work with hybrid cars. So it kind of makes you feel a little bit special, you know, around all your workmates. You're kind of like, this is my area. So that was really good. And then from there, I went on and achieved my master technician status. It took me, I did it quite quick actually, because I was kind of annoying my boss all the time and just pestering him for more training. It took me just over 4 years to gain it. But then you're at the top of the ladder, and that's where you can earn really, really good money. With all the experience you gain from that, you put yourself above everyone else. You know, you can do what they can't. So it makes you a little bit special. Very good if you want to move in the career, which I then chose to. Again, for different reasons. I kind of, you know, in total, I spent 7 years with Toyota. So I kind of wanted to change, do something different. So I chose to go and work for Ford. Not only that, my other reason was I wanted to work closer to home because I was working in Weston, and I had a baby on the way. So kind of wanted to be closer to home for family reasons. So I went to work for Ford then in Bridgewater. Again, just wanted to get as high as possible there. So I got to senior technician status through them, because you can't go from one dealer into another and expect to walk in at the same level. So I had to kind of start the process again, but I was fast tracked because I've got a background of already achieving that. You don't have to do all the training courses. You get sent on more assessment courses. So they set you tasks, and once you complete that assessment, you've kind of fast tracked that stage. So that was kind of easy for me. And then again, I just aimed my sights even higher. Like when I started as an apprentice, I always wanted to own my own garage. Although I aimed to get my own garage, realistically, I thought it's not possible, but it was a dream I wanted to do. But once I got to these levels, that dream of having my own garage suddenly looked more like a reality. So I did. I jumped and I went for it. So I then I started out actually as a mobile technician. So had a van, drove around. It lasted just over 6 weeks. At the time, we had really bad floods. I didn't enjoy being lying on my back in wet water, struggling underneath a car where I used to be under a ramp, and I'm now on my back underneath a car with axle stands. Didn't really like it, so I made an even bigger gamble by just taking on our premises. So I started out with a small workshop and just progressed from there. And then I was owner of the garage, or the garage is, for 6 years. So again, you can't just walk into a garage and just it be a established garage. You've got to build. So I build and just sort of, you know, increased year after year. After 2.5 years, I took on another garage next door. So I expanded and then just progressed on from there. For me, I then got to, after 6 years, although it's amazing, if you want to make good money in this trade, have your own garage. You know, you do earn very, very good money being a business owner and having your own garage. Obviously, you know, it's not easy. There are challenges, but they are achievable. So again, my reason for changing that is kind of my own fault, really, if anything. So my garage was the garages were very, very successful. So the downside was I was working from sort of 7:30 in the morning, getting home from work at sort of 8:30, 9 at night, eating my tea while still doing my accounts and my books. And it kind of just became too much. So I kind of missed the sort of, you know, dedicating time to training and teaching people. So that's why I chose to take a role in joining the college to teach. And also it's nice to be able to give back what I've learned and what I've achieved, and I achieved my dreams. I kind of want to give that back now, and also teach people where I made mistakes. So, you know, when you become a business owner, you're not Alan Sugar straight away, you know, and along the way you make mistakes. And I kind of now want to guide people and tell them my mistakes I made and how I should have done it different. And for me, at the end, what I should have done was I should have relaxed a little bit more and allowed my staff to take more control. I should have been more of a boss and delegated. But for me, I'm kind of I'm a perfectionist, and that's sometimes a bad thing, because I wouldn't completely hand over everything and allow people to do it. So instead of being a boss and delegating, I was still hands-on, which is why my days become 14-hour days, and it just becomes too much. If you can be someone that can step back, then great. You could keep achieving, keep moving on, expanding, and make that your lifetime career. For me, I just couldn't do that. You've got to think that's your name and your reputation on that door, and if there's any mistakes made, that can break your business. Especially with social media, it only takes for a few people to sort of give bad feedback or bad comments, and that spreads. So for me, because I was so protective with my company, I couldn't step away. I was kind of hands-on too much, and it just became too much for me. So being that I kind of had new goals and wanted to achieve other things, and also to teach and give back, I chose to take the teaching role and go down this route. So yeah, I mean, you can create other career paths from where you are, and I've chose to go from being an employer to now going into teaching and deliver back.
No, yeah, I mean, perfect. I mean, kind of that whole journey is amazing. I'm sure a lot of students will look upon that as being a massive success and the same goal which they have. Also keen to kind of get Jeff involved a little bit as well. So hopefully Jeff might be there in a minute. Hopefully he'll put his camera and his mic on maybe. Because I know Jeff's route was slightly different to that. I know his background. Here he is, right on time. Here we go. Saves the day. So yeah, Jeff's background is slightly different. So if nobody was never seen Jeff before, so Jeff's our level 1 School Links course leader. So Jeff and Darren will be working kind of together across the light vehicle program. So yeah, Jeff, your background is slightly different to Darren's. It'd be good to hear your version as well.
Yes, I mean, it is vastly different. When I started, like Darren did, as an apprentice, back in the day when I did my apprenticeship, it was a 5-year, what they called indentured apprenticeship, which I did up in Luton. Got my papers, ended up with a BTEC HND. Which is a sort of fairly high qualification. From there, my family circumstances changed slightly, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, and I actually joined the police force. But having done that apprenticeship route, it was always in the background for me to fall back on. Joined the police force, had a good time in there, but that was quite difficult, I found, as a married person, so I came back to the trade by buying, a bit like Darren, bought my own garage when we moved from Luton down to the West Country. Had my own garage, independent garage, run that for 25 years with my brother. Had a varied career in that. We did everything from school bus runs to contract hire commercial vehicles. We did commercial vehicle repairs. We had a body shop. The vast majority of stuff we used to do there. Had a good, healthy business. We did car sales there as well. And as time went on, because of the career we'd forged there, it gave us lots of opportunities to do other things, and we started dabbling a bit in property. And we were fortunate enough that we owned our freehold of our garage site, and we took the decision probably 10, 15 years ago that we would develop the site. And the long story short, we built houses on there and had the profit from that, etc., etc. From there, I went to work for a national transport company where I ran and helped and looked after, drove as well. A fleet of 25 44-ton Arctics. Did that for a little bit of time. Got a little bit bored of that, to be honest, but it was a good difference in what sort of thing we did. From there, I joined the RAC as a roadside patrol. Again, needed to be technically qualified for that. Did that for a while. That was a superb job, excellent job, really good money earning. Variable hours, but basically you're working from home, so you have your own van, it's parked on your drive, you start work from home. From there, I went to the AA, more specialising in recovery and training. Again, really good job. Things changed there, the shift pattern has changed, which then didn't suit me. the opportunity came up then at the college, where I was fortunate enough to secure a position as a associate lecturer. From there, became a course leader, a bit like Darren has. And like Darren, I felt it was time now for me to put some of my passion and enthusiasm back into these youngsters that we're now seeing, because I'm very passionate about our industry. I think it gets a lot of bad press in a way that they think that if you can't do anything else, you become a mechanic, which is so untrue. You know, technologies now have moved on, and you can forge a good career, and if you're good, you can earn really good money at it. You know, our AC patrols, AA patrols, they're earning, I got a colleague down in Plymouth, year on year, he's earning in excess of £80,000 a year. And it's not costing him to go to work because his van's parked on his drive. Does a lot of hours, but you can earn some really super good money doing this thing if you take time to train yourself, learn along the way. And that's the opportunities you've got to take. You give the opportunities, you've got to put the effort in. You really have. Anything you do, you need to be putting the effort in to reap the benefit. And that's what I feel I've done. I've worked now for 43 years, a long time.
I don't believe it.
You know, I have literally been working for 43 years now, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But you do need a bit of variation sometimes. And somebody did give me a bit of advice once that you need a little bit of variation in your CV as you go forward, as you get older. You know, the more things you have on a CV, the more rounded you are and the greater opportunities you have. And now I'm at college in a nice warm office, not laying out in the road, getting dirty and wet anymore.
Oh, you're really selling it.
I've had a really good career. I like working. I do like working. And yeah, 43 years later, I'm still doing it.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'll get kind of Grant involved in a minute for more kind of body and paint kind of area, but everything which in all of these talks, it always comes back to being driven, wanting to be a success, training hard. I think if you just have that kind of passion and drive, I think throughout all of these talks, that's what it keeps coming down to. So when we go back to the agenda of the talk, how to succeed in the trade, it comes down to that self-drive, passion, and training. You know, training yourself all the way through, really, and not just kind of standing still in terms of your education, really. So, I mean, all of us, even though we're teaching, we're still going forward with our training, whether that be teaching or whether that be technical based. Yeah, we still obviously try and progress each time we kind of come into the office each day. Grant, kind of keen to get your take as well. So I know we've got some body and paint students in, so it'd be good to break away a little bit from light vehicle and look at body and paint and what you kind of went through and what's out there. And
yeah, no problem at all. Now, basically, most of my students know we do this little bit of a talk when we first start to do the introductions. Obviously, I'm a course leader now, same as Jeff, same as Vinny was prior to his new role. So we work up to our certain points. Now, I was no different to many of my first year students. I started college with the intention of just being a full-time student. My dad was a mechanic, so I've been around cars for a long time. I've worked for him for many years, and Saturdays and Sundays, just to earn enough money to pay for my driving lessons and my motorbike bits. So I kind of went into college thinking I wanted to be a mechanic. So I started as a mechanic, believe it or not, at SCAT back in those days. And the body and paint program was right opposite. And I remember talking to Andy Mallet, who ironically is also a course leader with us now, talking to him, and I transferred to body and paint. So I did 6 weeks full time, and I really enjoyed it. It was a different aspect to what I was doing with my dad, and an opportunity came along from Whites of Taunton. They approached the college and said they wanted an apprentice painter. So like myself and 4 other people in my group, we applied for it. I was successful. I arrived at work as a 16-year-old boy, fresh out of like first 6 weeks of college, straight into the working environment, and I remember being struck by how much I really enjoyed it and could see the what I was doing made a difference to me. I wasn't very academic at school. I didn't do very well at school at all, if I'm honest. My teachers basically said to me I was fit for the armed forces or for something sporty. I didn't really do very well. So I had to redo, I had to take my English and maths again to be able to get my apprenticeship. So I got offered the job, but I had to do a quick course to get myself up to the grade C that I required at that particular point. So this brings us back to where we put so much emphasis upon like the maths and the English side of it. It's always been important, and it's important now. So that's hence we do it. But I was lucky, I did it. So I started my apprenticeship. I worked there for many years. I did. I was lucky enough to have done both panel and paint, working for a large main dealer. I went through all those bits and all the highs and the lows you do as an apprentice, and going to the shop every lunchtime and making the tea and all those little jobs. But I quite enjoyed it. I wanted to run a car, so yes, there was the aspect of apprenticeship for myself and probably for Vinny and for Darren and everyone. The amount of money that we got paid wasn't an awful lot. It wasn't an awful lot. I was paid £29 a week for probably 3 years of my life. I had to supplement it by doing extra jobs. Now, this is where Vinny's sort of comment there about being driven, and same with Jeff and Darren, being driven to want to succeed and be successful and have your career with what you want. So I did other jobs. I worked in the supermarket. I finished my my apprenticeship, and I stayed with that company for another 2 or 3 years before the company closed, which is unfortunate. But I went to work for a Vauxhall dealership. So I was mainly, for a long time, predominantly accident repair for main dealers. Now, bear in mind, I am an old fossil now. I started at the college in 2010, and I've been 19 years on the workshop floor. So you can do your maths and you can pretty much work out that I'm a fossil. Maybe not quite 19 years, I think it was 16 years when I started, but I worked through. I had a real passion for classic cars and custom cars, okay? So on my little sidelines, I was doing friends' cars, I was doing friends' Beetles, I was doing all sorts of extra little bits that whilst I was working, with the desire to one day, I didn't want to paint a Ford Mondeo every day. I wanted to go to work and do something really different. So I finished my apprenticeship. I wanted to do more, and I looked down the same route as Darren. I looked down starting my own business. So before I did that, I went back to college and I did evenings, an HND. So I did my HND. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but I did my HND in motor vehicle management with the proviso that this was going to lead me to my ultimate goal of owning my own workshop. Finished that. And I got to the point in my life where I thought, oh, what can I do now? I wanted to see the world. I wanted to see what this job could take me. So I packed up my bags, I quit my job, and I went around the world. I worked in body shops in New Zealand and Australia. And it was amazing. It was completely different to what I had experienced at home. But eventually all things have to come to an end, and you venture home. And the qualification that I had and having my apprenticeship meant that I could come straight back into work. And I went to work for Ford again. Along the way, I met a really nice guy that I worked with who left to go and work for a company called Haynes Motor Museum. You may have all heard of Haynes Motor Museum. He worked for Haynes as a painter. And he phoned me one day and said, come out for a chat. So I came out for a chat, and I left there with a new job. I left there working as a custom car and classic car restorer, going from just being accident repair to working on all sorts of really cool stuff. I did that for many years. I loved every minute of it. It was a joy to do. I then wanted to move a little bit further up and do something different. I ended up coming to work for a company in Taunton. We were building Jags, restoring and building Jags. So I went from being a repairer and a painter to a fabricator and building these things from scratch. It was amazing. Really enjoyed it. Still had a bit of a desire, a bit of a goal to want to do more. That's when I got a call from Jerry, who was Vinny's predecessor. And I ended up coming out for a conversation at the college, and that was 10 years ago. And I still enjoy every single moment of my job. You take a different dimension. You have the fun of the job still, but the beauty of being able to impart that little bit of passion onto somebody else, as well as enjoy the route as you go down. Now, the routes for you all are brilliant. You follow your full-time route, you follow your apprenticeship route. Like Vinny said, like Jeff has said, everyone said, the more driven you are, the more focused you are, the more you want to achieve something, the more you will achieve it. And the path for you is endless. And you could be one of us. You could be better than all of us, which is, I think, is the thing to strive for. But yeah, like Jeff said, I don't have to beat the ice of my bucket anymore. I can be working in a nice warm, comfortable office, and I haven't got to be freezing cold and laying around in the rain underneath dirty cars. But yeah, on the whole, really, really good. Some very good experiences from being an apprentice and progressing up. So
brilliant. Yeah, I mean, not every student, knows what they want to do at the moment, do they? You see in the classes that we deliver, a small, maybe a minority of the students that we teach know what they want to become or what they want to do or have a goal. Some of them are still kind of figuring out, oh, do I want to be body and paint, or do I want to go down the light vehicle, do I even want to be in auto?
Yep.
Not all students have an idea of where they want to go, and the full-time study program route is excellent to iron out which career path you might want to go, really. But yeah, I mean, I'm conscious we've got three kind of really amazing course leaders with huge wealth of experience with us today. So just kind of really short, maybe like a sentence to each of you. So we'll go to Darren, to Jeff, to Grant. One sentence of what advice would you give to these current students to be successful?
Okay, so my biggest advice, if you want to stay in the workshop and work, aim for diagnostic, because that's what makes you different. Anyone can pretty much remove and replace components on a car. Some might do a clutch in 3 hours, some might take 6 hours, but the outcome's the same. Difference being with diagnostics, some people can do it, a lot of people can't, and this industry is struggling for people with diagnostics. I've stepped out of it and obviously come into teaching, but I get 3, 4, 5 phone calls a week from garages calling me still, asking for advice, diagnostics. How do I fix this problem? How do I fix that problem? The industry's struggling for it. So if you want to aim high, go down the route of diagnostics. Get comfortable with multimeters, computers, oscilloscopes. Get comfortable with that, because that's what will make you different to everyone else.
Perfect. Thank you.
You want me to go?
Yes, please.
Okay, my bit of advice, you need to want to learn. You've got to keep that enthusiasm up. You've got to question. You've got to ask questions. You need to want to learn stuff. And I'm still doing it now. I'm still learning new skills, and that will see you right. Don't just sit back and expect things to happen. You've got to put the effort in. You've got to have a thirst for knowledge. And I'm still doing it now. I drive people insane because I ask questions all the time. If I don't know about things, I'll ask questions. And that's what you got to do. I'm still so passionate about it. I've learned so many new skills over the last probably 10, 15 years that I never thought I'd ever be able to do. But you just got to have that enthusiasm. You really have.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I will reiterate that. It's about passion. It's about drive. It's about following ambition, following your dream. If you have a dream and you have a goal and you have a desire, follow it. Take the risk. Sometimes you'll be offered an opportunity that it seems hard. If you want it, take the opportunity. An opportunity will always lead to something great. Whether it's not successful, whether it's not necessarily what you want, but you've taken the opportunity. Passion. Enjoy what you do. That's all I'm going to give you, really.
Yeah.
Follow your heart.
Yeah, I was going to kind of jump in with something, but you kind of, again, took the words out of my mouth. And it was, don't be afraid to take that gamble. like as you said, it might not pay off. It might not pay off, but you've learned then why it's not paid off. You've gone through that experience of, right, that didn't work. How do we do it now? Or don't think, you know, even when we're looking at work experience, like I'm trying to tell the students, you know, work experience, you know, don't just see it as a tick box exercise. Really push yourself, go into something which you want to do. Don't think, oh, you know, I really want to be working in Mercedes, or I want to work in a prestigious car manufacturer. Then go for it. You know, don't think you're too low. Someone's got to start somewhere. Don't doubt yourself and just put yourself forward. Yes, it is scary when you're 16, 17, 18 and thinking you're going in the big wide world and there's all these, you know, different people in these workshops and you think, oh no, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready, I'll go for the comfortable option. Push yourself and you'll be surprised what you can do. Really, it's amazing what you can do. So I'm really keen to see if there's any questions for any of us, because we've got lots of different backgrounds, and it's a really good opportunity for students to kind of come in and ask anything about their next steps. It's the last talk of the week, so if there's been anything bubbling away over the past kind of few days that you may have wanted to ask us, now would be a perfect time. Brilliant, we've got something in. There you go, Grant. I think that would be Adana. I think is aimed one at you.
Aimed one at me. Okay, so pretty much, Adana, how easy is it to make that transition across? Now, I'm not going to say to you there's going to be hundreds of companies out there that want that particular type of finish, but there's always somebody wants that type of finish. Now, I'm gonna use an example. Obviously, myself a little bit. That's what I wanted to do. I took a gamble. I took a risk. I've worked with a friend of mine who was exactly the same. He was a bit older, wanted to do the same thing. He now works for a company in Somerton called Charlie's Custom Speed Shop, and Charlie specialises in exactly what it is that you want to do. The options are there for you. Even if it's a case of initially you take a job on yourself, you say to somebody, oh, I can do that. Now, it's not an easy thing, but as I've talked to you before about, if you can paint and you can paint anything is possible. Okay, anything is possible. Define what custom is. Custom is anything that's above and beyond, seeking for perfection. You get yourself a very, very good name, a very, very good reputation at work. People will come to you. People will make that transition. It's about finding the opportunity, seizing the opportunity, and taking that gamble. An apprenticeship and anything, you take an apprenticeship, you're taking that opportunity to learn. Like Jeff said, you're always learning. You take the opportunity to learn, and you take what you've learned and you push it further. And there's always that little bit further. You take the risk. Do I want to go and work here? Do I want to go and work there? You look about, you ask questions. Like, a bit like Jeff was saying, you ask questions. If you want to learn, you never stop learning. So ask questions, look for opportunity. So in relation, is it easy? Yes, it's easy. It's easy provided the opportunity is there. I started off by doing custom stuff, by doing friends' vehicles. So I had a little bit of a sideline at a weekend. So I was working a lot, but I did my job every day, and I was lucky to have a workshop, and I started by doing custom stuff. That's how I got to working at Haynes, because of the stuff I'd done. So yes, it's possible. Work, just do as much as you can, get the experience, and then the world will be your oyster. You can go anywhere. America, you know, the qualification will take you anywhere. I hope that's kind of helped, but
hopefully that's answered your question, Adana. Anyone else out there that's got anything they want to add? I know there's a few kind of light vehicle people, and then there's
I think Liam's asked a question about working and like hours for working. All I'd say to you, Liam, is to me it's a learnt behaviour. If you're not used to going to work, yes, it's daunting, and yes, it seems a long day. Once you get into that mindset of you go to work and then you start to reap those rewards, then that's where your drive and your ambition and your enthusiasm will come from, because you get to the point where the more you work, almost the more that you want. So the hours that you work seem to be irrelevant to a point. And when you're young and you haven't really got a lot of other distractions, then working is the way forward, because it will give you the money to do what you want to do. Now, I appreciate money isn't everything, but when people say money isn't everything, that's normally said by very rich people because they've already got the money. Okay, so yes, it will seem daunting, but to reiterate, it's a learnt behaviour. Once you get used to going to work, you won't think anything of it. In fact, when you're not at work, you become a little bit bored sometimes, which is my problem. You know, you need to find things to do. And most of, you know, I think most of us, if we're working, we will, yes, it's nice to not be at work, but equally we all quite look forward to going to work because it's a difference in your day. That's the biggest thing we found, I think, through this lockdown, is you can't differentiate between going to work and coming home, and that's what makes it worthwhile. But earning money will make a big difference to your mindset, definitely.
Can I add a little bit to that as well? I think if you think, okay, you're an apprentice, you're not being paid an awful lot. The more that you do at work, and the more you put yourself out to do things that you want to do, the more will come your way. So, like Jeff's saying, if you're worried about working, the more you work, the more you want to work, because the more you get paid. So, take an example. You're working. You're paid what? Let's say £2 an hour. Let's say £2 an hour. It's more than that, but let's just say £2 an hour. But you do overtime. That's an extra, and every hour that's extra money all the time. And then your boss will come to you and go, I know you'll do that. Do you fancy doing that job? And I'll pay you for that. What goes around comes around. The more you put in, the more you get out. Same as anything. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I quite agree, Grant, because certainly when I was at the RAC, because we used to work shifts and we used to work a lot of weekends, a lot of the lads wouldn't work weekends, but you used to get a thing called a weekend incentive. So you'd get double time. So although you were working certain weekends, if you committed to do an extra 8 days, so only a day of a weekend, either a Saturday or a Sunday, you got double time for that day. So I used to do the weekend incentive, and with a little bit of bonus I used to earn because I was good at what I did, that day was worth £350 a day to me. You know, and some people would go, oh, it's £350. Yeah, it is. But if you do that 10 times, that's £3,500 for doing 8 extra days.
Yeah.
You know, if I said to you, here's a check for £3,500, would you give it me back? And they'd go, well, no, of course I wouldn't. So why don't you do the weekend incentive then? And that's what makes the difference come the end. But you've got to get your skill set up, like Grant says, and Darren would agree. You've got to get your skill set there so that you almost become in demand. So you then get asked to do things. And then the more that you are in demand, the more it snowballs from there. And then you're away, and then you're off and running.
Yeah, no, definitely. Excellent. Right.
When you build your skill set up, when you become that good at something and you're that passionate about it, you can then start going to job interviews and pretty much tell them what you want, which is what I did when I moved from Toyota to Ford. I seen the job advert went up and it was £2 an hour less than what I was currently earning. So, but I still decided I'm going to go to that interview and I'm going to dangle that carrot in front of them of this is what you can have because this is what I'm capable of doing. And it worked. I went in there. They were, you know, blown away by my CV and what I could do. They even got one of their technicians in to give me a diagnostic scenario, which I easily answered for them. And then they were kind of like, the job's yours. And I was like, not that money, no. This is what I want. And they were kind of like, no, we can't pay you that. I said, that's fine. Someone else will, because I know what I'm worth. And I know that someone else, if you don't, someone else will. 5 minutes on the phone to his boss, they come back in, shook my hand, said, there's the job. There's your money. So, you know, once you get to that level, don't be afraid to demand what you want, because you've got to know your worth. And when you're that good, you can do that.
Yeah, brilliant. Kind of keen to kind of round up a little bit. So if there is any kind of further questions from students, kind of give it a minute to see if anything does trickle through. But yeah, no, excellent. So yeah, I mean, thank you, Darren, Jeff, Grant, for kind of joining. You know, predominantly was going to be Darren, but I thought while kind of course leaders are here and having different backgrounds, it's much better to get that broader aspect of not everyone's the same. You know, all 4 of us have had different ways up to where we're at. Not one of us has been exactly the same. And whether it's a right or a wrong thing, I think it's a good thing, you know, and it shows just the progression through your career. It doesn't have to be one set goal, one set kind of timeline. You can venture off it, and you can train in different areas, and you can kind of get to where you want to be, really. And even with the goal that you have, you don't have to end up going that way because you venture off. Like, out of us, who would have thought we would be in an education sector? Like, for 1 minute, not one of us, I don't think, when we were trained to be technicians or mechanics or body and paint technicians, would have thought, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a course leader, or whatever it might be. But it comes about, and it all comes about through that hard work you put in at the beginning, your apprenticeship route, your full-time route, whatever it might be, and kind of getting that training. Brilliant. So I've just got a one through. Excellent. So thank you, Liam, for your question. So what would you personally look for in an apprenticeship? Try and put yourself in a team's mindset. Trying to kind of unravel that question a little bit. So personally look for in an apprenticeship. So do you mean
I didn't realize. No.
Might just try and mute Grant a minute. So when you say personally look for an apprenticeship, is that kind of what the apprenticeship looks like, or what would you personally look for in an apprentice if you were to take an apprentice on? Sorry, Liam, I'm just trying to. You can unmute yourself and kind of chat over the meeting if you want to. I'm just trying to get the best answer, really. But yeah, I mean, in a teen's mindset, what would you personally look for in an apprenticeship? So if I was a teenager, what would I look for in an apprenticeship? So an apprenticeship now is what we call a standard. So I'm not sure if you were in the meeting yesterday with Adrian and myself talking about standards. So the different standards we offer now are light vehicle, for like a full diagnostic light vehicle kind of route, so a level 3, an auto care route, which is a level 2, which is more like a fast fit, kind of quick fitty kind of qualification. Then we've got heavy vehicle, ARTs, accident repair technician, and then paint and panel. So when you go to do your apprenticeship, what you're looking for is, first of all, if you're looking to do an apprenticeship, first of all, you need an employer. Okay, and you need to make sure that you don't just pick any employer. Okay, they've got to be right for you, and you've got to be right for the employer. So it's like a bit of a marriage that goes on before you kind of take that role, really, because we see it a lot where students will just jump at any opportunity they can, and then 6 months down the line it's not quite working out. So the very first part of looking for that apprenticeship is to do your homework. What do you want to do? Do you want to be kind of, as Darren said, going down that diagnostic route? If so, find a garage that does do diagnostics, because there's no point going to a garage that just does tires, brakes, servicing, because you're never going to reach that kind of that training that you require, that you feel that you can push yourself towards. So find the garage that does what you want, and then from that you can do an apprenticeship which fits your goals, really. But the garage has to be able to achieve those goals, if you see what I mean. Say, for example, it was a little bit difficult saying, but you put it right. Thank you. Excellent. So hopefully I've got it. Yeah, hopefully I've got it right. I was fishing around in the dark for a little bit, but yeah, I got there in the end. But yeah, that's what you're kind of looking for, is making sure you use your time wisely. And before you do this apprenticeship, it's really, really wise, I would say, to do some work experience there, to go out and test a few places and kind of get a feel of it. And then you'll find something which just fits you like a glove, really, and you go, yeah, this is the place for me. Because you may go into a garage or a body and paint workshop or a heavy vehicle workshop, whatever it might be, and go, as soon as you walk in there, you've got this feeling of, oh, I'm not keen here. I've had it before where I've kind of stepped in place and then just thought, this isn't me. Whereas others, you feel at home as soon as you walk through the door. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say about looking for an apprenticeship. Sounds guys, are we still doing work experience this year? Given restrictions, probably get. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, most definitely. We really want you to get out and get some work experience in. So, Darren, if you don't know Sam, so Sam was one of my level 2s, so he's going to be one of your level 2s on the course. Again, really good student, obviously kind of very willing to get out and do some work experience. So yeah, I mean, Sam, I mean, ideally what we can do is try and really progress you through the level 2 and get your qualification achieved. And then hopefully kind of after June half term, maybe we can have a bit more time free if we really kind of cram in some really good qualification time and get you progressing well. And then maybe towards the end of the year, have like a good maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks of work experience. You don't have to do it at the same place. You can kind of maybe do a week here, a week there, a week here. But yeah, I mean, we're starting to see a lot of apprenticeship opportunities come through the door now, especially with the incentives from the government are giving. So I do really hope and expect to be a lot more opportunity for work experience and apprenticeships further kind of coming into the summer as lockdowns lifted, and people, I say people, employers aren't as scared or worried what's around the corner. I think I've mentioned it before about Brexit's been here, and like import export, also the COVID situation, you know, that cars aren't on the road as much as what they were, but as soon as these lockdowns are lifting and people start traveling to Cornwall and whatnot to get their holidays in, and then cars are starting to get used a little bit more, you might see business start to come back up again and start booming, and then we're going to need to fill those apprenticeships. And yeah, it's definitely on its way up, 100%. I think the dark time is kind of getting behind us now. So definitely apprenticeships are there to look for. Work experience is a really good way to gauge what you want. Yeah, that's kind of what I'll kind of put in there really. But brilliant. So I'm going to round it up there because I know I'm trying to keep to time slots because we've got very busy diaries throughout the day. So just want to kind of say thank you to all 3 of you, and obviously all the students for coming in and joining. I really do hope it's been helpful, not only this session for everyone, but throughout the whole week. And going forward, it's really kind of opened my eyes as to, I think a lot of students like this approach of kind of having a bit of a webinar, a bit of a talk, and kind of get some information and very student-led questions. And hopefully we can get some more technical based webinars going, whether it be body and paint, maybe get some body and paint companies in, maybe some heavy vehicle logistics companies in to talk to you about their apprenticeship, you know, Scania and stuff like that. And obviously light vehicle we can get in as well. You know, a lot of people I've spoken to over the last few days are really keen to come in and have a chat with you guys, and it's the students they want to talk to, not us. They want to speak to you because you're the ones where are going to make a difference going forward. Okay, so I will finish it there. If anyone wants to review or kind of share the video, it's all on our Facebook page. If you haven't liked it yet, it's Bridgewater and Taunton College Automotive on Facebook. All the information goes on there about apprenticeships, how to apply, any evenings we've got coming up, etc. So go and have a like of that, and you'll see some videos on there too. So I'll round up now. So thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully I'll see you all soon, and look forward to actually seeing students face to face on campus from Monday. And yeah, it'd be good to see all your beaming little faces again, I imagine. So yeah, brilliant. So see you all soon. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, because I won't see you now, and I'll see you hopefully next week. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.